We talking rom-com, we talking action, we talking drama and movie classics. Whatever you want, yo, we have it. Cause we talking movies on the podcast. So I married a film critic. So I married a film critic. So I married a film critic. Hey honey, I just want to talk about the movie like casually. You don't have to bring up the cinematography. Honestly, let's just talk about like how the characters were fun. Married a film critic. So I married a film critic. So I married a...
Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic. I'm your co-host Julia.
And I'm Barry the Film Critic. Hello everyone.
And today we decided to do a very special episode for Barry's dad, my father-in-law, his favorite movie, well, one of his favorite movies.
I think if you'd ask him, he would say this is his favorite movie. As a kid, he would kind of toggle between A Clockwork Orange and The Apartment, but for the last 20 years...
Wow, how far we've come.
How far, yeah.
Right.
This is the one. Like, oh, it's my favorite movie. Yeah, no, So, Dad, this is for you. Happy birthday. And I can't think of a better thing to give you on your birthday than you having to listen to your son yammer on about a movie that you adore. So, sorry, Dad.
So 1997's Fools Rush In with Salma Hayek and Matthew Perry.
Yeah, Matthew Perry. This is at the height of his Friends fame. Friends at this point was a huge show, and this is when everybody in the cast was being kind of pulled aside into doing movies, presumably when the show was, not taping for the summer. And this is definitely in the higher end of some of the Friends movies. You may remember this. Matthew LeBlanc did a movie called Ed, where it was him and a chimp. Did you ever see that?
I don't think I ever saw that.
He has a chimp, and he teaches it how to play baseball. So it's a chimp baseball film. Yeah. And this was around the time that Courtney Cox was doing Scream. And then Jennifer Aniston, at this point, her movie career hadn't even started. And she probably went the furthest, although she's been in some movies that are really, really hard to sit through. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd say this is on the upper echelon of the Friends cinematic Hall of Fame.
This is as good as it gets, you think?
No. I would say Jennifer Aniston in Office Space.
Oh yeah,
I think there's some really great. But in terms of Matthew Perry's film career, yes, this is this is the gold star right here.
Yes, I was just thinking, how did he get in a movie with Salma Hayek? How? She's so amazing and charming in this, and I just don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that because I'm still with you. I look at the poster and it's like, oh, it's her and it's him. So yeah, we'll get to that. All right, so Fools Rush In is a charming love story. I don't know. Is it? You're not even believing what you're saying right now. It's a wacky romantic comedy. No, it's not. So it begins with Perry entering a building with a giant swordfish. And by the way, such a prop. I don't know if it was in the script or he just
thought it would be funny.
Like, swordfish equals comedy. Yeah, it's obviously the most fake looking prop. And I'm wondering too, like, is this because it's a part of a restaurant? Did he win this?
Did he get it stuffed on a trip?
Did some weird person hand it to him in the street and he's like, okay, I'll just take this. I mean, yeah, it's a weird way for him to enter the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we find out that Matthew Perry lives and works in New York City, and he basically is a project manager for clubs, big nightclubs.
Yes, which I'll jump the gun a little bit and say the least interesting thing about this movie is his work life.
Oh, yeah.
The film gives us a lot of that. And
you see a lot of his work life.
A lot of talking about invoices and contracts and the big deal. And
OSHA, picking out silverware and cups.
Oh, my gosh. Like, could not be less interested in this part of the film.
Care.
Oh, my goodness. And it's weird, too, because you've got all that bit of nonsense, setting up his character, setting up his world. He's a workaholic. And then you have this scene where we meet Salma Hayek's character, and it's a very whimsical, feels like a different movie. Remember, she's on the side of the river. She's sensual and beautiful, and she's photographed that way. This movie looks like it's like, wow, like this is a different film. It has such color, such life to it. There's these little,
it's like the cinematographer was like, it's Matthew Perry, who cares?
like, just like put a light on him, fine. Like, oh, Salma, this 5 lights, 7 cameras. Yeah, and there's this bit of business where she's talking to these boys. The scene is in Spanish, which is something that drives me crazy about this movie, because there's so many scenes in this movie that there should be a lot more Spanish, because the scenes where Matthew Perry is in the scene, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but in the scenes with Perry, you need the subtitles, obviously, or it could be in English. But there's too many scenes in this movie where Salma Hayek is alone with her family and they're speaking English. I'm going, why? There's no need for that. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So the bit of the business at the beginning of the film with the boys.
She's in Mexico at this point, yeah. Yeah,
she's in Mexico, and it's this really cute scene, but like it feels like such a different film. And my heart kind of crushed when they cut back to Matthew Perry, because I'm like, no, go back to her. That looks like a wonderful film. And then it's back to this glib romantic comedy. Yeah, with Matthew Perry and his what is he? His best friend, his colleague,
his kind of sidekick.
Played by John Tenney, who I've never liked in anything. I've never liked this actor. I feel like he's always trying to be like Vince Vaughn. I've never been a fan of this guy, and fortunately he's kind of the comic relief, except his character is just a total lemon.
Yeah. He really doesn't believe in anything. He's divorced. He's just always talking negatively.
And he's set up to be the villain. I kept waiting for some big scene where Perry has to punch him, like at the end of the film, or like maybe he hits on Salma Hayek. No, the character is basically just around to be awful. And the movie rewards him for it. Like, he never gets any kind of comeuppance. There's never like a moment where he goes like, "You're a loose cannon, Alex," and he like walks away. No, like the character.
In one scene, he throws a cup on the ground.
Yeah, the one scene, right? It's kind of a dead weight. And look, the movie is about 100 minutes. Maybe there was more there. I suspect there was a lot more there, because there's a lot of characters in this film, and a lot of them aren't properly fleshed out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so Matthew Perry's boss says, "I'm sending you to Vegas to do this, another opening, get this club off the ground." And so he goes to Las Vegas and he moves into a company house, and you kind of see him just kind of getting settled. And then he ends up in some kind of dive Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
And he's in line to use the bathroom, and that's where the magical meeting takes place.
Yeah, it's the movie establishes right away that Perry's character has no faith in anything. This is someone who does not acknowledge a spirit world, or just has no interest in that. Whereas Hayek's character is earthy and soulful and spiritual. And I'm thinking, okay, this is 1997. This is when we were really into that as the zeitgeist. This is the time of the Celestine prophecy and The Secret, and all these books and manuals that are telling us about how there are signs everywhere. Not long after Dan Brown came around. You know what I mean? Like, this is around that time where it was like the Barnes and Noble crowd.
The
going
Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, like, I read the Celestine prophecy.
No,
the
Da
signs
Vinci Code was later.
That was later, but no, like, this is Celestine prophecy time. This is, very much like,
Yeah, but she's also very Catholic.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she's not just like this new age.
Right. I'm not, and I don't mean to make that
person.
connotation. I just mean that this is, at this point in time, it seems like as a zeitgeist, if we're, just talking about just the way people were just open, just had a more openness to these ideas than right now. I feel like we're a lot more cynical now, if that's possible. But
totally. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She's a very faith-filled person with probably some extra ideas in there that aren't necessarily from the Catholic tradition, but she believes in fate, and that everything, you just have to find the signs. Like, your life is all mapped out. You just have to see the signs and follow them.
They kind of meet cute, but not really. And this moment is enough to basically have a cut to suddenly they're in bed together. I'm thinking, man, that was quite the bathroom encounter.
Stop since Nogales, okay? I gotta go. Bye. Excuse me. I was here.
I think I would have noticed that.
No. You see, I was on the phone and the line moved, but I couldn't move with it because the cord wouldn't stretch that far.
See, I'd like to believe you, but your nose is actually growing.
Come on, I thought that was pretty good.
You realize that I could die for this.
I pee really fast. I live with 5 brothers, 3 cousins, and only 1 bathroom. Believe me, I can pee faster than anybody in the world.
Really? A gold medalist? This I have to see.
Thank you.
Óyeme, no porque tengas tetas me das primero.
Óyeme, pelado, ¿cómo te atreves a decir una cosa así enfrente de nuestro sacerdote, baboso?
You know, I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a little forced. I do wonder if there was more to this scene, and like, you know what, the audience knows they're going to end up, so let's just cut to them in bed, because it's strange because it feels like the scene is over, and then you think, oh, maybe they'll meet like later on, and no, there was more to that moment. We just didn't see it.
Exactly. So yeah, she sneaks out, and what cuts to 3 months
later. Like, no, movie. 3 weeks later is fine. 3 months later? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
No. 3 years later. Why? Just all you needed is like, we get it, like, and he has a line where, because they quickly, the movie brings them back together very quickly, and he's like, I've been looking for you, and that's fine. Like 3 weeks later, 3 months, I don't know.
I feel like 3 months, nobody's going back to look for anybody at 3 months.
At this point, he doesn't remember what she looks like. I mean, this is a one night stand that's it's gone.
No, I think he remembers her, obviously. She's very memorable.
Well, of course.
I mean,
it's Salma Hayek.
yeah,
I get it.
But the fact that she came back and actually remembered where his house was after one time,
that is
and
impressive.
he lives in a neighborhood where every house looks the same.
And this is 97, so did MapQuest exist? Like, how did she
don't
figure
think
that
so.
out?
I don't think
you think. Do you think in those 3 months she went like door to door?
Maybe.
She's like, okay, I've got 36 more houses. He's in one of these houses. They all look the same.
Okay, but what's funny about it is he's having like this work meeting in his backyard, right? And it's him and his insufferable partner,
John Tenney.
Yeah. And this gal who I guess works for the city of Las Vegas. They got to like grease the wheels and make sure things for their project go well.
Yeah, because Matthew Perry is supposed to be a mover and a shaker. 2 things that Matthew Perry just does not convey at all in this movie, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, so then Isabel just shows up.
Isabel, played by Salma Hayek.
Yeah, and basically she's like, I'm pregnant. And he just obviously doesn't know how to handle that news. You know, he hasn't seen her in 3 months. And she kind of like drives off in a huff. But what's funny about it is he completely just blows off his work stuff. He's just like, okay, I gotta go.
Maybe the one moment of restraint in the entire film from Matthew Perry is that when she tells him that she's pregnant and he's drinking water, no spit take.
Right.
That's like, I'm like, oh, okay.
He just keeps drinking the water.
He's playing this dramatically. Well done, Mr. Perry. I would not have gone with that choice. Yeah, he drinks the water, and the joke is that he just won't stop drinking because he doesn't want to say anything. Okay, that's not what I expected from Matthew Perry. Mm-hmm. But let me say quickly, I think one of the problems with his performance is that Matthew Perry, I think, has a similar problem, if you will. It's his persona. You know, he's been playing kind of the same persona for so long, not just in Friends. There's no sincerity whatsoever in Matthew Perry. Mm-hmm. He's just like Ryan Reynolds in that respect, and I like them both. But these guys do not do sincerity at all. They are sarcastic as heck. It was like when I was a kid, Chevy Chase. I love Chevy Chase, but nobody seemed less sincere about anything than Chevy Chase, and it's a problem when we're supposed to be believing in this guy. He's always doing, and I guess to cut to it, Perry is always giving a sitcom performance. Salma Hayek is giving a dramatic performance, top to bottom in this movie, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, just to jump the gun a little bit again, I think this movie works better when it's a drama than as a comedy.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one. I mean, she's really, I was just telling you, I mean, she's just so charming and emotional and funny, but like sweet. She really can go to all the different levels, and he's just very one note. Yes,
he's always doing sitcom beats. I mean, like there's a scene where he sees her in a nightie, and of course, you know, right on schedule, the champagne cork pops.
Yeah.
And he's always, like I wrote in my notes, he's always ogling her, but what do they have anything in common? And the film presents that on a practical level, but I'm also just in terms of chemistry. Because, I mean, I bring this up a lot just because people don't even believe it. Like, you know, because I like to remind people, you know, that George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez did a movie together. I go, really? I can't even imagine that. They did a movie together called Out of Sight. Came out the year after this one. I mean,
I think we've talked about this before.
Probably. It's a great example, I think, because who would have thought Clooney and J-Lo, but like they are electric in that film. They are so fantastic. My dad's listening, so I'll say my father knows. Pierce Brosnan, Rene Russo in the Thomas Crown Affair.
Yeah.
That's chemistry.
Love
it's
them.
like, oh my gosh, I don't even care about the movie. These two, I mean, it's not just sexual. It's like they have a rhythm and a charm. It's like you can't fake chemistry like that. Even if you're a great actor, you can't. And, you know, Hayek and Perry, she's going for it, and he's kind of doing what he's comfortable with, I think. He's not bad in the film.
No.
And, you know, in some cases, the movie doesn't ask too much of him. But, yeah, her work is on a different level than his. Definitely.
Definitely. So he basically chases after her, and she's just like, you know, I don't want anything from you, but I just, you know, want to be honest with you and tell you that I'm having a baby and it's yours. So, you know, you have, you know, your DNA out in the world kind of a thing. And he's just like, that's it. I mean, is there anything I can do? And she's like, yeah, I want to take you home to meet my family. So one day they'll be like, oh, did we ever meet the father of your baby? And she'll say, yeah, I brought him home one time. And I'm like, is that even something someone would do? I don't know.
It's, on one hand, it's like, okay, this is what this film is. This is the concept of the film. And it's odd because Jennifer Aniston, now that I think about it, was it the same year? It was. Jennifer Aniston did a movie called Picture Perfect. Do you remember that?
Yes.
With Jay Moore. Almost an identical idea because she has Jay Moore with her, and Jay Moore has to pretend to be, I think, her boyfriend or her husband or something.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
that guy is...
I know. I by the way, I can't stand romantic comedies based around a lie. Remember, like, while you were sleeping, like the whole movie, it's like this lie. Everybody knew what I can't stand. But I mean, so many romantic comedies, that's what they're based on. And this movie, a smarter version of this film would have just acknowledged that, look, like, it may have happened very quickly. There's a one-night stand, but, like, clearly we dig each other. Clearly he has nothing going for him. Clearly his world is boring and uninteresting. He's living for his work and for no other reason. She is clearly special. She's clearly different than anybody he's ever met. And clearly she's taken with him too. A better film would have just been about how they're going to just go the odds and say, like, look, it was a rushed situation, but now we're gonna go.
Well,
the
they
distance.
eventually do that, but they not.
I get it. You need conflict.
Yeah,
I get it.
Not before you know he goes and meets her family, and he goes to this family dinner, and there's like 25 people there.
Yeah, it's funny because like this is the second time I've ever watched this film with you. And by the way, we're watching this movie on Christmas Eve, by the way. And I got to say, like, this scene I found to be really good.
Yeah,
I like it. It's a problem that persists through the whole film, whereas her family is portrayed with integrity and depth. They're interesting, but these characters are strictly one-dimensional, and it's frustrating because I wanted to get to know her father a lot more.
Seems like a nice enough guy. He's gonna kill me, isn't he?
He's not the one you should worry about. Come on. Mama!
Minita, my beautiful baby. Who is this?
Mama, Papa, this is Alex Whitman.
Mr. Fuentes, Mrs. Fuentes, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. Isabel talks about you all the time.
Well, that's funny, but she's never said a word about you.
Tomas, behave yourself.
I can't keep up with her anymore. One minute she's engaged, and the next she brings home a man with a tie.
I was not engaged. I was not engaged.
Well, actually, sir, that's one of my favorite things about your daughter. She's always full of surprises.
Come on, Alex. I think we'll be safer in the other room.
He's a great character. I love the strength of him. I love Like there's
a movie with all her family and none of his family would have been way better.
Yeah, and you know, and obviously there's a lot of formula going on here. I mean, clearly, you know, I'm sure My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I'm sure Nia Vardalos was familiar with this movie when she wrote My Big Fat Greek Wedding, because it's a very well honed formula. But that film had a better idea and better time of developing the very colorful characters, you know, who are from a world that's outside of this white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. You know, I feel like those characters are more vivid and more well drawn here. In this case, like, I wanted more of Isabel's world because it is intoxicating and it is pure and it is beautiful, and we could see how, you know,
it moves him because he's like, I see my family on major holidays and that's it. I don't even talk to my parents. I don't even know where they are right now.
Yeah, like if this film wants to, you know, be about, if it wants to be profound about you know, about two people from two different worlds getting together and having to adjust to the fact that they're from such different ethnic backgrounds, I feel like this movie inches towards that, but then it you know, it just doesn't go far enough, I don't think. But this introductory scene where he meets the family, I think is very good. I thought, oh, this is better. This is much better than I remember.
So they leave that, and she's kind of like, bye, that was great. And he's like, this can't be it. You know, why can't I see you? And she's like, don't make this harder than it has to be. And then he has the brilliant idea and just says, let's get married.
Yeah.
So they get married at an Elvis chapel in Las Vegas, and they start their life together.
Do you think that the filmmakers are like, you know what, this could be another honeymoon in Vegas. We need to get that Elvis thing going on, because it's completely needless. You've got an Elvis impersonator who shows up. There's a lot of Elvis in the soundtrack. I mean, I know some of the movie takes place in Vegas, but it did feel a little forced.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was a very rushed wedding, so why not go to the chapel, oh love, or something? You know? Yeah. Why not have an Elvis walk you down the aisle?
Why not? One in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, anyways, then now we're in the, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got married portion of the film.
It's the full-on sitcom part of the film, right? Because Alex, played by Perry, he's constantly having to tell people he's married, and his parents show up, and he doesn't have a good relationship with them. So in addition
but before that, we meet Kathy Stewart.
Oh God, this character, yes. That's Kathy Stewart. Yeah, the one, basically, clearly she thinks of Alex as the one who got away. Yeah, this character is.
But she finds out that Alex is married, basically by eavesdropping on Isabel's conversation with her roommate, and she's like, "I'm sorry, you know, who are you?" And so finds out that they're married, and then she totally calls his parents and says, "You need to get to Las Vegas and see what Alex is up to."
A better film would have made this movie.
Medals and everything.
A better movie would have made this character the villain, the clear-cut villain. I mean, this is someone who is always dressed like it's a power lunch. She is.
Well, she's a country club girl.
Yeah, in the most insufferable way. Yeah, there's a potential for some real like a real romantic triangle here, and I feel like that's another missed opportunity here, because otherwise, I mean, the character is she's just awful. You know?
She's very desperate for Alex to notice her, and it's really hard to watch.
Yeah. And to her, you know, again, the actress is really going for it, but the character, they really should have cranked it up. There's too many characters in this movie, and if you're going to have a character like her, who's clearly a romantic rival, if you will, it should have been cattier. It should have been a little edgier, but you know, this is not an edgy film. But anyway.
Yeah, because she's just annoying enough to be like, I don't really like her, but I don't know why. Like, she's okay. It's not no big deal. It's not really. She's not a threat. That's the thing. He can evade her quite easily.
And I think the movie would have been much more interesting if she was a threat. A movie that came out the same year, my best friend's wedding. Had it been like Julia Roberts, Dermot Mulroney, and Cameron Diaz, that's interesting because as you remember that film,
better film.
The Cameron Diaz character in that film, she's not really the villain, but she is a threat to the Julia Roberts character. So that tension goes throughout the whole film because Julia Roberts is kind of trying to undermine her, and the Roberts character emerges the villain of that film, which I thought was a really good choice. Here, like, there's no villains, there's no heroes. Well, Perry is something of a villain. We'll get into that. So there's this scene that I feel like people remember this scene. It's the scene where Matthew Perry's Alex agrees to go with Isabel's brothers for a day. And, watching it, I feel like this scene should have been a lot longer because there's a lot of comic potential here. And I feel like they're just skimming the surface with it. And it ultimately comes down to Matthew Perry supposedly being surrounded by snakes. And it's clearly stock footage of snakes from nature documentaries. And then her brothers are firing guns at him and he's doing like this little dance, but clearly there's no snakes anywhere near Matthew Perry, and the scene just ends. The setup
somehow
is
he
fun.
falls into a cactus, but we don't even get to see him do that.
What we do get is this agonizing close-up of Perry on the ground. It's like his leaving Las Vegas moment where he pours whiskey on the ground and he's like slurping it up because he's apparently that lit.
Yeah.
I don't know if they thought that was going to be his Oscar moment. It's a really unfortunate. It has no business being in this movie.
Right, yeah. And then that's when his parents come, and this is kind of the first moment that Isabel realizes that he isn't telling her the truth, because he had told her, "Oh, my parents are in Europe for the summer, so I can't get a hold of them." It's 1997. I don't know that they had cell phones back then.
Yeah, this movie's constantly in addition to the scene where everybody's waiting in line for a payphone, I'm like, wow, I don't remember waiting in line for a payphone.
That was for the bathroom. That was the bathroom line.
Oh.
Not the payphone line.
Okay. But she was just on the phone. But then she cuts in?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. She's on the phone and then she cuts in front of him because she really has to go.
Wow. One of the great mysteries of cinema has just been solved. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the parents are there. Yeah, it's established
and the parents think that she's the maid.
Oh, God.
They're like, well, it's really hard to get good help around here.
Casual racism played
job.
for laughs. Yeah, very 1997.
So then they have a big old fight and he's like, well, I wanted to tell them in person. She's like, well, here's your chance. So she kind of calls his bluff a lot in this movie, which I do like because she's not putting up with anything.
As she shouldn't, because he's awful. He's awful. His ties are awful.
His ties
are terrible. And look, listeners, I mean, I was a 90s fashion victim too. I still have some of my awful ties in my closet that I put on for laughs every once in a while. But yeah, this is the wardrobe choices on Perry in this are just really unfortunate.
Well, so yeah, that's true. So the parents are like, oh no, I can't believe they're married. I mean, the mom and dad, I mean, you would think that they had to go to a funeral after they found out this news. They're very upset. And then what? Do they go to Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo, and it's a scene that could be interesting, but it just feels like a sitcom bit where her parents and his parents are sitting together. They're starting to have a real argument. The argument is getting testy. It's getting historical. It's addressing racism. It's addressing.
Well, the dads are basically like, they rush this. They don't know what they're doing. What's going on?
Yeah.
And the moms are like, it's romantic. I mean, you don't even know. You don't remember what you were like when you were trying to pursue us, back in the day. And then it gets, the racism.
The racism starts to fly. Yeah.
Casual racism, I guess.
Again, 1997. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I liked this scene initially because I thought, okay, like we're actually, these characters are getting their own voice. They're actually serving a purpose in this film. They're not just background color. But then, and I mean all the parents. And then, it feels like I'm just waiting for a laugh track. The whole movie, I'm waiting for laugh tracks.
Yeah, and his parents get majorly sunburned because they don't want to listen to her dad.
Which is, by the way, speaking of sick, that's a bit right out of Perfect Strangers, but yes.
No.
Yeah.
So they're miserable, and you're kind of like, well, you should have listened.
Yeah.
They told you to put on sunscreen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like Isabel's parents are clearly, I mean, the actors are playing it for real, which I love. You know, that's always something that when I see that on a comedy, it's like that's the way to go for a laugh. Just play it real. Don't do all this sitcom nonsense. But yeah, like every time the movie gives her parents their moment to shine or to like have their voice. I mean, for one thing, the characters are only talking about the plot. They don't have like what do they do? Who are they? Hopes and dreams? No idea. But at the same time, it's like, and I know this is not about them. The film isn't about them, but I think a better film would have given a little more context to
we
this
just
situation.
know that she's the only daughter and the dad is just like, you've stolen my only daughter from me.
Which is very cliched,
yeah. So we're like, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. That's his motivation for having, you know, a major attitude with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
we get down to the serious part of the film. Although there, like, I don't know, something I wrote in my notes, because the whole time, again, I'm having some serious chemistry problems here, but it's also the characters too. It's like I feel like if the chemistry was stronger, the issue of the characters being together would be less of a problem, or at least less of a problem for me. There's a point where they're fighting, and she says, "Why are you afraid of me?"
There was nothing I could do. The job starts July 1st.
Tell them to wait.
I can't do that.
Can't or won't.
I've worked too long, too hard to
To
just...
what? To share your life with someone who loves you, who cares for you? Alex, you have to be there every day.
What do you think I've been killing myself for?
Oh, come on, you knew about this for a month, but you don't include me. Why are you afraid of me? Why do you alienate me from your life?
I don't know.
And he says, "I don't know." And I thought, no. The line should be, "I don't know you." You know?
Yeah.
'Cause they just-
that would have been good.
That would have been better, yeah. As opposed to, "I don't know." You do. You don't know this person. You're not comfortable. It's not the fact that she's not white like you. The fact is, you're not listening to her. You're not spending adequate time with her. Mm-hmm. And the movie is trying to make the point of like, you know, sacrificing work over. No, there's a montage in the film where he's working very hard, and it's established that, you know,
he's behind on his project,
yeah,
and he needs to like move it along.
And the fact that the movie even like, you know, makes his work life a priority is like, movie, come on, stop. That's not that interesting, but fine.
And then the conflict is like, once this project is done, where do they live?
Where are they going to live together?
To New York?
Yeah.
Do they stay in Las Vegas?
Yeah. But again, like there's something practical about it, and as the parents have told us, established that they're young, they're inexperienced with life, they're trying to figure things out. So like on the one hand, you have the potential for a good character reveal or a good life lesson or whatnot. But it does come down to sitcom beats because, as you've indicated, that scene is revealed where she's having a meeting with him and his boss is like, "See you in New York," and
"See you next week in New York." And
right.
She's like, what? I thought we weren't doing this for months.
Yeah.
You know, because they had agreed that she would have the baby in Las Vegas and then move to New York. And the boss, the kind of smarmy boss, dangles the big club in front of him, and he just like can't say no to that.
Yeah.
So he does have a problem with telling her what's going on, and yeah, she's like, "You won't let me in," and that's the part where you said, just saying "I don't know," it's not good enough.
He's not allowing her to be a true partner in his life. It's like they are living two different lives, and he's just kind of juggling it. But you know. But there's also that aspect of how glamorous is this life? If this, you know, he's talking about, I've had this dangled in front of me my whole life. This is the big carrot. This is the big one. And like, do you really want it that bad, Matthew Perry? Especially because, I mean, clearly it's not just that Salma Hayek is attractive, is that her character is so attractive. Like she's a really, as you've said, I mean, she's charming.
She's
as
a
heck.
catch.
Yeah.
And this job, I mean, I bet it pays well, but it's really not like
the movie. I'll say the movie doesn't make it interesting.
It doesn't make it some glamorous thing. I mean, he's basically on a construction site all day.
Yeah, and there's this again a real sitcom bit where this giant sign lands on a guy's car. It's like this. It's the one really big moment of slapstick in the film. But otherwise, his job doesn't. I mean, he might as well be like a stationery salesman.
Yeah,
it'd be the same movie.
He could sell office equipment, and we wouldn't
door to
care.
door office equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of excitement. This isn't. You know, I mean, even like Flashdance, where she's, you know, a welder by day and a dancer by night. Even Flashdance made that more interesting that she's a welder. I mean, if that movie can make welding interesting, why can't they make this movie interesting? No, it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
So then there's the scene. So they basically split. The movie does the romantic comedy thing where they're
she fakes a miscarriage.
Oh gosh, that.
She fakes a miscarriage to break up with him.
Yeah, that bothered me because I was confused at first because he goes into the hospital room. She's lying away from him, facing us, but away from him. Her back is to him. And
he's like, how's the baby?
She says, there's no baby. And then they just keep talking. And I thought, oh, that's how this movie's going to deal with this subplot? Like
you thought she was faking the pregnancy?
I thought, wow, this movie does not want to deal with this. I was really upset. I'm like, geez, movie. I mean, I know you don't want to deal with a miscarriage, but at least, yeah. But they're just like moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we learn a couple scenes later, I thought to a sadistic degree, is that she faked it
and
to
goes and goes to her great grandma's house and in Mexico to just kind of decompress and get away from everything. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and we see him back in New York. He's completely bounced back thanks to Gray's Papaya. My God, Gray's Papaya. How much did you pay to get in this movie? Gray's Papaya becomes a plot point for this film. It's not just a product placement. I mean, like, they talk about it so much.
They show the hot dogs. They eat the hot dogs.
At the edge of the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she has Gray's Papaya's hot dogs shipped from New York to Las Vegas. Now, even if you overnight that, are you telling me those buns are not soggy?
No, they got sauerkraut on them.
Sauerkraut.
It must stink to high heaven. And they're sitting on the Grand Canyon. It doesn't look like the windiest day. I'm sure it reeks. Oh my! And I know, like, it's a movie. I know, but I mean, even to pretend this is a real life thing. I mean, how yummy are they at that point?
I don't know, because if those
you have to really like that Gray's Papaya.
The buns were cold. Okay, let's just say everything was warm. It's not warm anymore. It's soggy.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I mean, you know, like I used to love, because we don't live anywhere near it anymore, but like Fuddruckers. If you and I were at like Niagara Falls and you're like, look what I got, and it's like Fuddruckers from like 7 hours earlier, how disgusting is that going to be? I'm not eating that. Like, thanks, Julie. That's very nice.
That's nice. I mean, I don't even like bringing French fries home in a to-go box from a place 10 minutes up the road.
Yeah, I've asked you a couple of times, like, hey, you're going to be down the hill. Can you go to that deli? You're like, it's going to be gross by the time I come home. Like, yeah, that's a good point.
Like, no, I'm going to be out all day. No, they had it overnighted or something.
And I gotta say, it looks immaculate. You know, it's like those fast food commercials where the food like glimmers and shines, probably because they put
because it's not real.
Yeah, they put like, you know, elbow grease on it to make it shine on the camera. Yeah, but then you go to the place in real life and it's like, oh, this is not. Yeah, I'm sure that anyway.
Yeah. So to your point, I mean, maybe they did pay to be in this movie. Maybe they were the reason they had a budget.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I can't say. It's hard to think of another film that aggressively has a product in there, especially because this is a very famous place. There's a point later in the movie where it's a plot point that he's standing in front of Gray's Papaya. It's a plot point that he later references, like, I was standing in front of Gray's Papaya. It's amazing.
There are signs everywhere. That's what happens.
So we'll get to that.
Okay, but what about the Hoover Dam? We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Hoover Dam. Do you want me to fess up to what I thought it was, or
I don't? If you want.
No, when I think back to this movie, I always thought it was Niagara Falls. I'm like, oh, it's the Hoover Dam. Oh, yeah.
I know. I'm like, Niagara Falls would have been cooler, probably, but
this is a big year for the Hoover Dam because the same year Vegas Vacation came out. Do you remember that? There's a scene in Vegas Vacation where Chevy Chase and Randy Quaid are getting a tour of the Hoover Dam. It's like, I'm your damn tour guide. Welcome to the damn tour.
Yes. I always thought that was so funny. But every kid like that, because they're like, it sounds like I'm swearing, but I'm not. I can't get in trouble.
Do you think at the Hoover Dam, like next to the restroom, there's like framed posters of Fools Rush In and Vegas Vacation?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
We got to go.
Yeah, maybe we should go and check it out. No, but every time she drives back from Mexico and goes over the dam, she throws a coin over the side to make a wish. But what is it? Like a silver dollar?
It's a big coin.
It's a massive coin.
Yeah.
Is it a dollar coin?
Is it?
We should ask your dad. He would know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have no idea.
That's what I think it is. But how many of those are in her glove box that she just like stashes in there? Like how many times does she go to the bank? She's got her
Hoover Dam coins all on the ready.
Yeah. I mean, does she just go to, is her banker like, oh, you need some more coins? Okay. Go into the safe and get them for you.
And I mean, how unsanitary is it throwing a giant coin into the Hoover Dam?
Well, it's fine. I mean, it's like throwing a penny in a wishing well.
No, it's not, because a wishing well is a little wishing well. Or like you talk like the little one, like
she's
the little.
Not throwing it into the dam.
The little
part.
Fountains in the mall.
Well, I don't think it's going into the water. I think it's going to the non-water side.
So in the beach.
Yeah, like I think it's just going into some rocks.
So there's like some opossums that are like choking on these.
Yeah,
on these coins.
Just basically like.
She's killing the wildlife.
Yes. Yes.
Or they're just getting concussion from these coins.
Coins. There's just all these squirrels.
There's these dead possums everywhere at the bottom of the Hoover Dam. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Different film.
Different movie. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So can we get to the helicopter scene?
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting. So this character, what is her name? Kathy.
Okay. Well, this is when Matthew Perry starts seeing signs everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And he sees
one of which is in front of Gray's Papaya.
Yeah, exactly. And he sees a chihuahua because they had a chihuahua. He sees a picture of the Grand Canyon.
It's so forced.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's just like, whoa, I've never seen these signs before. So then he gets a call from Kathy Stewart and she's like, we're going to go to the lake. Do you want to come? And he's like, yeah, it's a date. As he's looking at his divorce papers, it's like, okay, is that a sign? So, all right, he gets to the helipad and...
Yeah, well, I it's a very lost in translation moment where Wayne Newton's Donkashane is blasting the soundtrack. The helicopter's about to take off. He realizes that he wants to go after Salma Hayek, thank God, and not be with this insufferable character. So as the helicopter's about to take off, he goes over to her. He whispers something in her ear. We get her reaction, and then he runs off. We don't know what he says. So I have these are the three ideas, I think, of what he probably said to her.
Oh, yes. All right, so, good. Okay.
So the first thing, which is probably what he said, I think he says, it was never going to work.
Oh, okay. Just very blunt.
Yeah, which I think, again, explains the look on her face. The other one, I hope your helicopter crashes. And my favorite, I also think he might have said, you reek of desperation.
Oh, yeah. Totally. That's why she's so downcast.
That's, again, it's like I'm reading the face. This actress is so good. She's just acting with her face. All right. So
you reek of desperation is probably what he did say.
Yeah, I hope so. So now Matthew Perry as Alex. This is a scene where, I mean, he goes back to her, but I mean,
back to who?
Back to Salma Hayek. But in doing so, he runs. I mean, he illegally crosses the border. Is that what the movie's telling us?
No, I think he flew to Mexico.
But he's like, I mean, at one point he's riding a burro and...
Like, this is probably...
Is the movie just being wacky? Or?
Yeah, I think it's just being wacky.
Okay, because I wasn't sure because he's in this strange van. I'm like, I mean, is this...
No, I think that the great-grandma just lives in the middle of
that is so remote.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I thought, like, is this film trying to make like some socio-political point?
No.
I'm sure.
Because remember, she says she lives where there's no people, no electricity, like in this hacienda.
They did say that. All right. Yeah.
She lives in the middle of nowhere, in some tiny, tiny town in Mexico somewhere.
Okay.
And so so even though he can fly somewhere, he has to like planes, trains, and automobile it to her house.
And if anything, it shows what a terrible husband he is. He's been married to her, with her for how long? I mean, his Spanish is terrible.
They've only been together 3 months.
3 months, but still, like, his Spanish is dreadful. Dreadful.
I know, but 3 months?
If you're with someone who primarily speaks Spanish, you should, and she looks like Salma Hayek, you learn Spanish. For God's sake, you were like, what's the name of that thing? The
Rosetta Stone.
You Rosetta Stone hard every day.
He's trying to open up a club. He doesn't have time for Rosetta Stone.
All he's doing is standing around while construction guys are like, where do you want me to put this? He just put on his headphones and just pretend to point, like put this here, there, listen to Rosetta Stone. Como te llamos? You know, just like...
He's like, hola. Yeah.
Fuego. Yeah, just... Rosetta Stone it, man.
Oh, you know what? He was doing that at the very beginning. He was trying to learn Japanese
because he thought he was going to Japan.
He thought he was going to go to Tokyo, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what?
The giant fish. Yeah.
You're right. He's
awful.
You're right.
Go above and beyond. You're with Salma Hayek. She's pregnant with your child.
Yeah, he didn't try to learn any Spanish.
No. If anything, it's supposed to be comical. He's the wacky gringo. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's riding a burro, but still,
yeah.
He's clearly she is on a level he just does not deserve, frankly.
Well, that's true. I mean, who deserves Salma Hayek?
That is a question. You know who does? Antonio Banderas. That's why they're so perfect together in movies. It's like, yes, you two deserve to be with each other. Clearly, God said, I'm done. These are the most beautiful people. That's it. It doesn't get better than this.
Okay, so he meets her great grandma.
Yes.
And she only speaks to him in Spanish.
Right.
And the only English words she says to him are Las Vegas. And he's like, oh no. And she's so sweet. And she's like, this is the love of Isabel's life. And like kisses him. And I mean, what? He can't even stick around and have some, a drink with her? I mean...
The film it's so contrived. I mean, he doesn't know what she's saying. She could just be saying, oh, I would love to see Las Vegas one day. I mean, for all I know, for all he knows, Isabel is upstairs. He has no idea. But
That's
of course,
true.
He just gets on a burro, I guess, and goes...
He goes back, gets on a plane, and calls her roommate, her best friend, and then finds out she's going to be crossing back into Las Vegas in her car. So he goes and stands on the Hoover Dam for hours.
This is not a good idea. But of course, the movie makes it cutesy and whimsical. It's very like speaking of movies that, again, this is not about Catholicism. I mean, it's just about this mystical idea that love is magical, that love has ridiculous possibilities. Mm-hmm. I guess since we've been married for so long, I should be a little more choked up about this. But it's ridiculous. So remember Serendipity with John Cusack? Similar idea. It's like, let fate decide. What will the magic in the air will bring us together? It's that whole yeah.
I mean, the good news is he does make a turnaround with that. And then she's like, I don't believe in science anymore. But I think it's just because she's so hurt,
Right. Yeah.
She obviously does.
Of course.
But he stands on the Hoover Dam, and then it starts raining, and then he basically jumps in front of her car, almost like killing himself. And then he finds out she's still pregnant.
Alex, wait a minute. What the hell? Are you trying to get us both killed?
I'm not giving you a divorce.
Oh, you're too late.
No, I still got till 12.
Alex, it's over.
Get the hell off the road. There was a priest. He said there were signs everywhere.
What priest?
Break by the hot dogs. And then you have the Chihuahua, the Grand Canyon, a little girl named Isabel. I mean, there are signs everywhere.
I don't believe in science, Alex. Not anymore.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You were wrong. The baby didn't bring us together. It was something else, something bigger. I just didn't believe it until now.
Don't do this.
I love you so much it hurts. What the hell is going on with your stomach?
Just go home.
You're still pregnant. You're still pregnant.
I know.
How could you lie to me about that? How could you do that to me?
I was afraid. I tried to reach him, but I couldn't. And you lied to me, so I lied to you.
I know.
And even though, Perry, who, as I've noted, his style of comedy is like all twitches and big arm movements, whatever, he reacts to her being still pregnant. He takes it pretty well, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
It goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, because her water breaks, and she's like, you better call 911.
It's a pretty hurtful thing to lie to someone about, and the movie just quickly glosses over it, and it gets into scenes that I don't like in romantic comedies, where it's like, oh no, she's gonna have a baby, and gives everybody a chance.
He says, you lied to me, and she said, well, you lied to me. So, it was kind of like one-upping each other.
It's like, well, you lied to me about where we were going to live. You lied to me about my unborn child. I don't know. I don't think it's even Steven there.
Yeah. Well, he had lied to her a couple times.
Sure.
And she was... I'm not saying she was in the right, but she told her great-grandma that that was the only way to get rid of him.
You know, it's baggage this movie does not want to deal with, so we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They're not going to deal with it. We're not going to deal with it.
Right. So we get the wacky birth scene, of course, because that's what they all are in these movies, and it's like who was it? Like a state trooper who helps?
I don't know.
Whoever this character is, he's like my time to shine. Like the character,
I feel like
the actors.
I've seen him in other stuff though. I feel like, and
I'm not sure, but whoever he is, I mean, he's like, he's really like, I'm gonna relish this, man. This is my moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then. Oh, now Matthew Perry's making a wish off the dam.
Right, with one of Salma Hayek's huge coins.
Coins, giving another squirrel a concussion.
Yes.
And then what? Cut to their second wedding?
Which, as you and I both noted, like, I mean, we've been to some awful destination weddings. I mean, this is, apparently it's in the Grand Canyon, and it's literally in the middle of nowhere on the edge of the mountain. I mean, to have to set up something like that, just horrendous.
Yeah, the setup for this, I thought, I've done event planning and I'm just like, no way I would want to be on this crew setting this up.
Yeah, well, I remind you, we did a wedding once at the Royal Gorge in Colorado. I mean, to have to bring all that stuff across a bridge and then on a mountaintop, I mean, it's just insanity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they get married in a real wedding ceremony without Elvis, even though
Elvis is on the soundtrack.
Yeah. But, in front of her dad, because her dad wanted to see her get married. Right. So,
Love conquers all.
Love conquers all.
Or does it? I don't know about this couple.
You don't think they make it?
Are in pretending this is a true story, are they still married? I'd say no. Absolutely
really?
Not. No.
You don't think so?
I think they have shared custody over the child.
Aww.
But no, I think he's such a dummy. I bet he's with that Kathy Stewart chick.
No way.
Yeah.
He is not with Kathy Stewart.
I think he is. I think he finally settled.
No, I think he quit his terrible job in New York and he got some just like boring office job or somewhere on the strip. Maybe he's managing a club. Maybe he's managing the club that he helped make. I don't know. And then she got to be a stay-at-home mom and also finish her photography book. I think they're happy. Oh, you're not buying it.
No. I think the dark, real ending of this film, how I would end the film, I would have 3 years later, and it's Matthew Perry on a couch. It's some ratty couch, and he's looking at some TV with like lines, wavy lines, and it's this apartment where like all the shades are drawn, and there's like cats everywhere.
Cats everywhere.
And he's sitting. We don't know what he's doing initially. We think like, is he loading a gun? No, he's sitting on a couch by himself, eating hot dogs out of a box that says "Great Papaya." That's my ending.
And what's Salma Hayek doing?
Oh, she's happy. She's raising her child.
Did she marry Chewie?
Yes, and she's probably better off with Chewie.
Really?
Yeah. He's been waiting. I mean, that poor guy. That poor guy had to he probably looks back and they're like, wow, my wife, like she went through that Matthew Perry years. Like I had to stick around through that.
Yeah. Well, all right. I don't really like that alternative ending.
I'm just saying, I do this a lot. We'll watch a romantic comedy and I'll just think, no, happily ever after. No. They're walking away happy. The soundtrack's blaring. They're holding hands. I don't buy it. There's so many movies where I just think this couple didn't go the distance. I know the movie wants to suggest otherwise, but there's too many examples where I just say no, not this one.
He's so cynical, guys. So cynical.
Well, it doesn't reflect how I feel about love and life in real life. I'm just saying in this movie, I don't believe. For one thing, as we've talked about, I don't think Matthew Perry's character is that great. I don't think he's much of a catch. I don't think he has a lot to offer. He's got money, but that's it. And I feel like she doesn't have all the money in the world, but she has so much more than he'll ever have. And it's a lesson the movie kind of wants to give, but really, I think it's kind of
not a serious enough movie to get into all of the subtext.
Yeah, and again, like I feel like the movie wants to tell us that love conquers all, and I'm not convinced that love can. I think Gray's Papaya conquers all, but I don't think that love conquers all. How many stars would you give this?
I think I give it 3.
Okay.
Just because it's enjoyable. I like a lot of it. I think she's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Her performance is amazing. I like a lot of the side characters. Matthew Perry's okay. I mean, I think, as you said, there are probably other people that would have done a better job in the same role.
Who do you think would have been better? Because I was thinking about that watching this. Like, who would be better paired with her? Matthew McConaughey?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Maybe Matthew McConaughey.
Because this would have been McConaughey right after Time to Kill.
Mm.
So this is young Matthew McConaughey.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. There you go, better movie.
You know what? He can be sincere.
And he can do the workaholic thing really well.
Yeah.
He's done that really, really well. Can you imagine Matthew Perry playing a lawyer? No. Matthew McConaughey? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. He was great in The Lincoln Lawyer.
And yeah, exactly. And Matthew McConaughey, he could sell a guy who is a closer. You know, like, I'm going to go in the living room and I'm gonna get that person to give us $100,000. McConaughey can play that.
Yeah.
He is that.
And the one that, like, all these like random chicks are just attracted to.
Yeah, the Kathy Stewart character doesn't make sense because it is this weird thing. Like, really, Matthew Perry?
Well, no,
like, she's waiting.
I mean,
waiting
it
for
makes
this
sense because they've known each other since 3rd grade. Okay, that's fine. But remember on the day that Isabel comes to the house to tell him she's pregnant, there's this like older cougar character.
Yeah,
who's
right.
like, I mean, totally into him.
Yeah.
And you're like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Matthew Perry is adorable, but yeah, with McConaughey, you'd be like, we get it, lady. We get it. Get in line.
Better movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't even really have had to change barely anything of the script.
But, I do think, even though McConaughey isn't necessarily a comedic actor, but I think he's funnier.
Yeah.
I think his choices are better because, again, it's that thing of he's not a sitcom actor, for one thing. He doesn't play those beats. He just plays it really real, which is why I'm not a huge fan of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but he's really funny in that because he just plays it straight.
I love that movie.
He's really good in that. I don't think the movie's great, but he's good in that. And they're both really good in that. Mm-hmm. He and Kate Hudson. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. By the way, this film was directed by Andy Tennant, who later made Fool's Gold.
Mm.
Yeah, the unfortunate McConaughey Hudson film.
Wow.
Yeah. Although he did make Sweet Home Alabama, which was Reese Witherspoon's big breakthrough as a movie star.
That was her big breakthrough?
Yeah, I mean, Legally Blonde was successful, but Sweet Home Alabama was a blockbuster. That was a huge hit. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry for that tiny rabbit trail, but
Well, so now we know the works. I mean, Andy Tennant does comfort films. His movies are comfort food, and that's fine.
Which you really don't enjoy,
no,
but
not at all.
I mean,
I don't like these kinds of movies.
I could dig a comfort film.
He also did, I think, the worst Jennifer Aniston film. He did that movie with Aniston and Gerard Butler. It's called The Bounty Hunter.
Oh, I never saw that.
Awful. I think it's probably her worst movie.
Yeah. And I think that was around the time I was really into Gerard Butler.
I think that was around the time we were all in Gerard Butler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well,
on that note,
Fools
Rush In.
Fools Rush In.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Dad. He's listening to this and just shaking his head. Like,
I don't think he's gotten this far.
He turned it off like.
I think the first time we said happy birthday, he was like, all right, I've heard enough.
You heard none of this.
I think what Dad has done instead is I think he's on the computer right now and he's getting a Gray's Papaya gift basket sent to him as we speak. Yes. That's what he's doing. He's not listening to this.
He's like, actually, this is a better idea.
That's a good idea.
I'm going to get these hot dogs sent to my house. Make sure you overnight it.
They could send them to the Grand Canyon. They could definitely send them to where my dad lives.
Exactly.
So, yep.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.